In accordance with tradition at Southern Virginia University, we will begin with a word of prayer, which will be offered by Aaron Hyatt. Just like we did for guys. We will await the coin toss.
Down here.
Go get him in there. Come on. Come on, hey, step up real quick while we got them. They're in there. Again, forward. Okay. Here, wherever it might be. One's got to stay high. One stays with the line. Outside back. Down this line, right? Outside back. Good job. The outside back's havoc. You better be on that touch line as the outlet. Okay? Don't be afraid to get in the attack. Center mid. On the two defensive mids. You have time and space. Make sure you're involved in the attack. Defensive mid.
I was Penn the other day in a heartbeat. The whole game, they're like, no, they're like, I was step in front of them to support, and then you're like, go back.
One step that way. Surely.
Even if you're not tired.
Let's go!
Let's go! Harrisburg. Yeah, we gave. Which what? Oh, that one's ours.
Now, in accordance with the tradition at Southern Virginia University, we begin with a word of prayer, which is offered by Aaron Hyatt.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to be here to celebrate this soccer game. We ask you to bless both of the teams so they can play hard and have good sportsmanship and remain free from injury. And bless those that are here to support them. These things we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Aaron. Now, if you will all please rise and face the flag for the singing of our nation's national anthem by Jake McMahon. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the
the flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now for your starting lineups. Starting first for Penn State Harrisburg.
Welcome back, everyone, to the fields at Southern Virginia University. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Hartman, and Sam Holman getting ready to bring you women's soccer action as Southern Virginia takes on Penn State Harrisburg. To recap our earlier events, we had football here about, 6-7 hours ago, Mike, and it was Wesley beating Southern Virginia 63-9. Just a few minutes ago, about a half hour or 45 minutes ago, we had the end of the men's soccer game. Penn State Harrisburg coming back in the second half to win that game 2-1 after Southern Virginia led at halftime 1-0, and now we're just seconds away from getting this women's soccer game underway between Southern Virginia with an overall record of 3-5, 0-1 in the Capital Conference, facing Penn State Harrisburg, 0-1 in the conference, Mike, and they are 3-7 on the season.
Yeah, both teams lost their opening conference game. Both teams looking for that first conference win, so it's going to be, again, who's going to execute the best. Penn State Harrisburg only has scored 6 goals so far this season in their 10 games. The Knights, on the other hand, have come in scoring 17 goals. So offensively, it looks like the Knights may have an advantage. Hopefully we get to see that tonight.
In fact, Southern Virginia's top goal scorer, Tatiana Monson, has as many goals as the entire Penn State Harrisburg team. She's got 6 of the 17 goals that the Knights have scored this season.
Yeah, and then you have Taylor Martin and Kiera Tanavasa, who have 3 apiece. So those 3 young ladies really have carried the load for the Knights.
And otherwise, when we look about the men's game that just completed about a half hour ago, we talked about the scoring problems that they have had. I know last year the women's soccer team had some scoring problems, not quite as bad as the men's team, but they had their scoring droughts. Apparently that has been less of a problem this year.
Yeah, they're averaging about 2 goals per game. Unfortunately, just not at the right time are they finding those 2 goals per game. We know that they
the Salisbury game here recently was a perfect example.
Yeah, 1-0 that they lost there. Again, they got a lot of their goals. 10 of their goals came in the first game against Sweetbriar College. So if you take those 10 goals away in that one, then over the last 7 games, they've scored 7 goals. So hopefully the Knights will really come out tonight with their offensive firepower and jump on top of the Lions early.
And as far as their starting rotation is concerned, it'll be Rachel Miller, the sophomore, as the goalkeeper.
Yeah, and she's, again, coming back from an injury that she sustained last year where Savannah Uriah had to go in and play for the rest of the season in goal.
It was an injury that really turned their season around last year.
It did. It was a lacerated kidney. There was no way for her to come back from that in that season, and it really took a lot of players out of position and put them into new roles that they haven't played before.
Then you look at the rest of the starting lineup.
The rest of the starting lineup is number 4, Sierra Rich, number 10, Emily McFadden, number 11, Lauren Hatchett, number 12, Alex Giroux, number 13, Victoria Slade, number 14, Ann Powell, number 17, Kiera Tanavasa, number 18, Tatiana Monson, number 22, Taylor Martin, and number 31, Riley Anderson.
And Mike, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, this is a Penn State Harrisburg team that has really struggled with its offense.
Well, they just had a very hard time scoring goals. I said in 10 games they've scored 6 goals. So, we don't know what type of competition they've really gone up against. They may have been playing the number 1 teams in other conferences, but just on paper they've had a tough time. Hopefully the Knights can take advantage of that. It'd be great to see them get up 2 or 3 goals in the first half and be able to come out and do some great things.
Just 1 conference game has been played so far. Christopher, Newport, Mary Washington, St. Mary, Salisbury, Frostburg. Those are the teams that are 1-0. Does Newport look like maybe in women's soccer as the team to beat?
Well, Newport always is one of the teams to beat. We'll know more as we get closer or further into this season as we have the kickoff there and the Knights control it. And Powell tried to play the ball ahead. Penn State Harrisburg now with control. Taken away by Rich. Swings it over to Slade. And again, the first couple minutes usually a feeling out period, but the nice through ball by the Lions, shot on goal. Miller is able to jump on top of it.
Well, shot on goal in the first 30 seconds by the Lions.
And the Knights lost control of the ball, or possession of the ball in that middle third of the field, and the Lions really fast on the counterattack. Sometimes style matchups just don't jive, and one team has an advantage over the other. Hopefully that first 30 seconds, the Knights were just laying back a little bit, thinking they're going to have a feeling out session, and the Lions went on the attack.
Although you wonder if you're really struggling on offense like Harrisburg is, if you radically change things, radically change your approach.
Yeah, through ball there. You see Taylor Martin trying to chase it down on the far sideline. And I know Coach Cox is really trying to feature a lot of Martin and Tavanusa, in this season, trying to get them on track because she feels like those freshmen can really add a lot to the Knights, not only this year but in the coming years.
Mike, you mentioned you take away that Sweetbriar 10's goal outburst that the Knights had, and it's radically different as when you look at the stats. And I guess to a certain degree that's the same with Taniana Monson because she had a hat trick, 3 goals in that Sweetbriar game. And other than that Sweetbriar game, 3 goals for the remainder of the games.
Yeah, after that game, is the Knights are averaging 1 goal a game. But they have been shut out a couple times. So, it's how are the Knights going to come out and play this first 10, 15 minutes that we're really going to be able to see what the offensive strategy and game plan is going to be tonight. Powell tried to clear it, taken away quickly by number 3, Raquel Grace.
Harrisburg in the opening minutes here, Mike, they look like they're really stepping up their game and really trying to apply the pressure, at least in their first few minutes of this first half.
Well, they may have been inspired by the men's team and see how they played. Again, another shot on goal. Rachel Miller there. Quickly restarts it, throws it out. Nice, not able
back on the attack, though.
Yeah, not able to clear it out. Goal kick now for Rachel Miller. And this is not starting the way that I'm sure Coach Cox wants with the Lions on the attack and keeping the ball down in their offensive end.
2 shots on goal, Mike. No real serious threats for Miller, the goalkeeper, but still it does show that Harrisburg has really come out here and applied the pressure.
Well, and you have to wonder what the Knights are thinking about. Are they thinking more about trying to score a lot of goals, or are they thinking about, hey, we got to defend a little bit more?
Knights have really not had any sustained possessions. I guess we're only about 4 minutes into the game, but certainly from an energy standpoint, it just seems Harrisburg has the higher energy level right now.
Well, yeah, they came out, and again, they may have been a little bit more inspired by their men's team's valiant comeback and win in that second half over the Knights. The Knights really want to try to match the intensity level that the Lions are showing.
Yeah, that men's soccer game. If you want to use a little trite phrase, Mike, a tale of 2 halves, it was Southern Virginia really dominating in the first half of that men's soccer game and leading 1-0 at halftime, in a completely different second half that Harrisburg got both of its goals and the Knights were shut out in the second half.
Well, yeah, and if you're the Knights, you'd much rather be dominant in the second half and pull out the win. Hopefully that's not what the ladies on the Knights team right now are thinking about. We see some familiar faces out there on the field with Emily McFadden, Sierra Rich, who last year was Sierra Sorensen, married Casey Rich of the men's lacrosse team over the summertime.
Casey Rich, one of the better lacrosse players here at SVU.
And he was all conference last year, and just an outstanding young man out on the lacrosse field.
Was pretty good as a freshman too. And when you look ahead to next spring, I'm telling you, this lacrosse team, men's lacrosse team, has so many stars on it, or at least they did last spring.
Again, they lost a lot of those freshmen to LDS missions. So Coach Lamb had to reload. Hopefully, though, that those young men will come back off the missions in the next 2 years and
Because you had a
come
lot
back.
of talented freshmen.
Yeah, they had some great freshmen. And again, we're looking for that same type of young man to come in and take those people's place. Quick throw in by the Lions. Knights need to clear the ball out. Another shot on goal. And so far in this first about 6 minutes, 4 shots on goal.
And I don't believe any shots on goal for the Knights.
None
so
for the
far.
Knights.
Yeah, they really haven't had any serious looks at it so far.
Rich with the ball. Tries to play it through. McFadden going down the near sideline. See if she can put any pressure on the ball. And again, you can see what the thought process is for the Knights. They're trying to play that long ball through. Just not, the timing is just not there yet.
Hoping to get maybe a break from one of those. Perhaps a miscue by the Lions.
Well, they're just looking to try to use some of that athletic ability they have on that front line to try to outrun the Lions defenders. So far, though, it hasn't played out that way. You know, you have Martin on the left side, very, very fast, and Tavanasa very fast, and Monson very fast. And then you have McFadden, who not only is she fast, but she's taller than most soccer players. So it's great to see her try to get into the middle and use that athletic ability. So looks like the Knights really just trying to maintain and use athletic ability instead of using all the facets of the game that are available to them right now.
Then, Mike, when you look back a year ago to some of these returning players like Powell, like McFadden, Monson's been pretty consistent over her career, but how about some of these players, how they have really varied their game from a year ago?
Well, they've had to because of all the injuries that they had last year. A lot of them were playing out of position, so they had to learn other positions. So now I think they have a better appreciation of what their teammates actually do for the whole game. Another nice ball, long in. Monson tried to head it in, just couldn't make contact with it.
Tried to head it to the right as opposed to the left, and the goalkeeper was right there. That goalkeeper, by the way, is number 17, listed as 29 on the roster, Kayla Arnold from Tawnytown, Maryland.
Well, again, you want to see the Knights build up. You don't want just one pass and try to score, but make multiple passes, 2-3 passes, try to move the defense, find some open spots. And again, you see 4 defensive players for the Knights, for the Lions back, only 2 offensive players down in your picture there. That's not going to win you a lot of games going 2 against 4.
And we said this in the men's game, too, especially for the men who have struggled to score offensively for the Knights. And you've got Harrisburg. You mentioned their scoring woes, Mike. And outside of that sweeper game, the Knights have struggled to score. And that makes the first score in a game like this, I would imagine, just a huge goal.
Well, it's a huge goal. It's a huge relief. You got on the board first, and some of the pressure's taken off of you, but we saw the Lions be able to reverse those fortunes and come back in the second half. Martin on the far sideline, not able to chase the ball down. And again, just a little bit out of sync right now to start this first half.
Knights having a hard time right now, Mike, just maintaining possession at this stage.
You still have, like I said, a lot of talented players out there. Some of them had to play in different positions. Like last year we know that Laura Hatchett, great defensive player. In one game she had to come up and play offense. Very capable player on the offensive side of the ball as a striker and attacker. Emily McFadden going down, trying to lay it off to Powell there. And we saw Powell a couple times play up as a attack person for the team. Just multiple talents out there. Putting it all together right now seems to be the one struggle that they have.
Of course, nobody last year, I would imagine, played more out of position than Savannah Uri.
Oh, Savannah took one for the team, so to speak, and, they had a couple goalkeepers listed on their depth chart. Savannah volunteered after a game and said,
really
I'll try.
They really did a heck of a job.
Yeah, she told Coach Dryrock, hey, I'll try out at goalkeeper if it'll help the team. I'll give up my defense spot, and did a great job under the circumstances of multiple people being out during the season.
But they really had such high hopes for Rachel Miller as their goalkeeper, just a shame to see her go out so early in the 2015 season.
And the first game against Bridgewater, pitching a shutout there, just an unfortunate blow by one of the attackmen for the Bridgewater Eagles, and it lacerated her kidney. You just can't foresee that type of play. The Lions clear the ball down the field, looking to make some type of build up and run. Alexis Giroux heads it out. See McFadden coming down the field trying to get there. Steps over, takes the ball away, plays it back to Powell. Nice job by the Knights. Powell not being able to find anybody.
Uh-oh.
Miller comes out.
Had to come up for that one.
And Rachel wasn't caught napping at all on that one. She had that play all the way. But you can see what the Lions are trying to do. They're trying to find that one ball through.
See if they do a centering pass here.
I think we're going to have an offsides.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like they're playing with 3 offensive players forward there. Looks like they're also looking for number 3, Raquel Grace, just to go through the middle and clean up anything that may come her way. Ball taken away by Monson. Plays it ahead to Martin. Now you see some attack by the Knights. Martin tries to center the ball off of the leg of the defender. Quick throw in. Long kick. Don't know why that shot was taken at that point. Maybe she thought that she would have been able to catch Arnold asleep.
Shot was well to the left, though, and had no chance of going in.
And one thing we really haven't seen as the former Sierra Sorensen, but now Rich, her freshman year was a fabulous playmaker in the middle of the field. And we really haven't seen them last year and this year really go back to her and let her make plays for her teammates out of the middle of the field.
Yeah, I know we talked about that last year during the season last year, that that was kind of baffling.
She can do a lot of great maneuvers with the ball, but she's really a team player looking to set up her teammates more than anything else. And again, it just seems like they bypass her. They try to kick it over her instead of playing through her. McFadden tries to head it on. And Hatchett, again, just a physical specimen out there on the field. If we get a close-up of her sometime standing against or next to one of her opponents, you'll see her tower over them, just not the prototypical small soccer player.
Yeah, she's 5'7".
Throw in now. Powell will take it for the Knights. Finds Tavanasu. Monson now with it. Needs somebody to run with her.
Good job by Harrisburg taking it away.
And getting it out of bounds quickly and understanding that they may have been at – oh, they're going to throw it in for the Lions. Said one of the Knights touched it last.
Knights' energy level seems to have gone way up, though, over the first 5 or 6 minutes of this game.
Well, sometimes you have to get out there on the field and get that adrenaline going before you see any real improvements going on. Again, another through ball looking for Grace. Powell back with her. Giroux now on her. Centering pass.
Nice pass. Lions just can't do anything with it.
Yeah, kicked out nicely by Victoria Slade. Fortunately for the Knights, able to get back. And, again, you don't want to see that if you're a goalkeeper, all that onslaught and rush of your opposing team. Rich trying to clear the ball out. Nice little chip shot in, but Miller there. Quickly rolls it out to Powell. Powell ahead to Rich. Rich trying to find McFadden on the near sideline. Can't connect.
Nice to some degree here, Mike, having the problem the men were having, and that was connecting on more than a couple of passes.
Yeah, they hit 2 or 3 passes, but it's that third or fourth pass seems like they try to bypass the midfielder and just go over the top. Ball played across the field to Slade. Slade looks ahead to Martin to see if Martin can chase it down. Cleared out.
Knights, I believe, still searching for their first shot on goal in this first half.
Rich with it in the midfield. Over to Tavanasu. She loses it. Quick counterattack by the Lions. See Powell racing back. Miller. Oh, and it's put in by Powell on an own goal.
Well, Miller made the stop, Mike, and then the ball was loose in the middle, and one of the Knights accidentally, in chasing backwards, ran into the ball and knocked it in. And if you're struggling like this offensively, the last thing you want to do is give a goal to the other team.
Yeah, Rachel Miller not able to control the ball, but punched it out. Unfortunately, as Ann Powell was running in on her defensive assignment, trying to get in there, accidentally kicked it into her own goal.
See how the Knights respond to that. Plenty of time, obviously, still left in this first half, entire second half still to come, but that's got to be hard to recover from.
Monson plays the ball over to Tavanasa, back to Monson.
Of course, the Lions put themselves in a good position to even have that happen, Mike.
Oh, they did.
Moving down the field.
It was a great counterattack. Lily Winterton in now for the Knights.
And actually, it was a good stop by Rachel Miller from the right side. That shot was taken. Could have easily gone in and of itself.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you ask her after the game if she should have held on to that ball, she'll tell you, yeah, that she should have gathered that one in instead of trying to punch it out.
And control the ball, as we just saw, Mike, can be so important.
Yeah, and it doesn't take long to score. I mean, that counterattack was very quick, happened in less than 30 seconds. Hatchett with the ball now, with the free kick. Plays it to the near side, Powell. Powell to McFadden. McFadden to Winterton. Winterton gets collapsed on. Nice job by Tavanasa stepping up. Going to have a foul on the Knights now. Free kick for the Lions. And that has to be just deflating for the Knights, giving up a goal in that fashion.
Especially having dodged all those early bullets from the Lions in the first 5-6 minutes of the game.
Well, now we're going to see what type of mental toughness the Knights have, because it's one thing giving up a goal to an opposing team when they kick it in. It's another thing when you kick it in on yourself. So we'll see what type of mental toughness that the Lions really have as we see number 10, Kaylee Edwards, check in for the Lions.
Although it does put the Knights in somewhat a precarious position, because if they give up another goal, a 2-0 deficit, that's a huge hole, even in the first half.
Yeah, you never want to be down 2 goals going into halftime or more. Hopefully the Knights, again, 26 minutes plus to go in this first half. Plenty of time to come back. Love to see them find the back of the goal just to tie this game up. I'm sure Coach Cox would like to see the ball find the back of the net 2 or 3 times in this first half. Foul on the Knights. You see a 2-person wall now. Rachel Miller instructing her wall. Ball coming in, headed out but nicely by the Knights. Looks like Tavanasa is taken down. Pretty sure that the referee has given her a warning. Hatchet switches sides. Nice play through. There goes McFadden down the field.
Goalkeeper got there first and really had to get out there, Mike, because McFadden was going to maybe have a great chance at a shot from the right side.
Oh, again, just about 3 or 4 steps too far for McFadden, or else that'd have been a great one-on-one goal attempt. Throw in now for the Knights. Powell tries to play it quickly. Played it over to Anderson. Anderson to the far sideline to Slade. Slade looked to play it through, couldn't find her teammates. There's Riley Anderson, and in the past couple games, we've seen Riley Anderson all over the place, playing defense, midfield, attacker.
Good athlete.
Oh, and again, just a step or two away before Taylor Martin could get there. Again, if that ball is a step or two closer to her, great attempt or an opportunity for attempt on a goal.
Let's bring Sam in here to this ball game with a 1-0 lead right now for Harrisburg.
Quick attack by the Knights. Martin with the ball on her foot, kicked out of bounds by the Lions. We'll have a throw in for the Knights. And so, Sam, on the own goal, I saw your face over there. Just of grief, not of oh no, how could that happen? But of grief. Has something like that happened to you?
It has happened to me. I was usually able to get out of the way of the ball, but sometimes you never know. I mean, sometimes the goalie doesn't punch it the way that she wanted to, and you're obviously trying to get back to cover, and so it takes an unlucky deflection in that instance, and looked like it hit her thigh and then kind of ended up in the back of the net. So it's just unfortunate because she's in a good position, to back up her goalkeeper, but it's just an unlucky deflection for her. But it's a tough mental thing to come back from more than anything.
Well, again, Ann was running back. She was going into her position, and it wasn't that she kicked it in. It was that she ran into the ball.
Yeah.
Because Rachel, again, if we ask her later on, she'll tell you that I probably should have been able to hold on to that ball.
Yeah, you either want to hold on to it or just punch it more directly to the side rather than back into the center.
Rich with a nice ball through, and going to be offsides. I think that's Monson.
That's great vision, though, to see that pass in there, though.
Well, and again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, that the Knights really haven't been playing through Rich that much last year or this year. Love to see her more involved in the midfield because she has that type of vision and that type of touch that she can find players open.
Definitely. She can control the midfield really well, and I think that they'll try to get her in more and get her in on more of these plays because she definitely can control the center of the field a lot better.
Winterton now with the ball. Plays it over to Powell. Powell looking.
And that's great to see him be patient with the ball, but then you got to find that pass through there.
Well, again, it's one of those issues where we see the Knights make 2 or 3 great passes and then give it up in the midfield.
Mm-hmm. The Lions getting a little aggressive there, trying to go for that long through ball. But
well, they had success with it earlier, so I'm sure they're going to go back to it over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
There we see the Knights trying to possess the ball. Nice shielding off by Slade there. Plays it off one of the Lions for a throw-in. And Victoria Slade's been very solid in the back row for the Knights.
Mm-hmm.
There we see number 16 for the Knights coming in, Audrey Palmer. Also, we saw number 8 coming in, Cora Jewell, returning from a mission. Great to see Cora come back. Also coming in for now the Lions, Sheila Ansary. And Cora was here when the Knights had a great year. It was her freshman year, just a fabulous year where they really won a lot of games and put a lot of people on notice that the team could be building up to have something special happen.
Mm-hmm. And she's another great presence to have in the midfield. She's obviously got a big presence as just being a tall player, but also she's a very aggressive player on the ball as well.
Yeah, very strong young lady. She and Riley Anderson, just when they were here as freshmen, just a dominating presence in the back.
They definitely did well. And it looks like Riley stepped up a little bit and played a more of a midfield position there for a second. Now they brought Cora in, and it looks like she's pushing back into the center defense again.
I thought I saw the offsides flag up for a second. He took it back down. Winterton tries to play the ball ahead to Tavanasa. Big collision there as we see Jewel collide with one of the Lions.
There's the physical play. She's not afraid to go in for those, definitely.
Well, and she understands that if there's going to be a collision, that she's probably one of the bigger players that they're ever going to see or face, and so she'll take the less of the brunt.
Yeah, and you want to be on the better end of those collisions anyway, so I think she went in there strong.
Well, again, no real malice on that play. Both of them going for the ball. Martin trying to settle the ball down, taken away nicely by the Lions. Played ahead, Laura Hatchett, nice shield off. We've seen a lot of that on those women's teams tonight. We saw Slade on the far side shield off and let the ball go out of bounds for a throw in. That time Hatchett with the throw in now, or shield off for the throw in.
And that play just comes down to soccer intelligence, because you can shield the ball as long as it's within a playable distance as determined by the ref. So it's great to see them use that, because I mean that's a big part, is you keep the possession by letting it go out there. So that's great to see.
Well, we know that the team is very talented individual soccer-wise, because they come in with a lot of accolades. If we see a through ball going towards Grace again, Powell tries to get back.
Oh, yeah, and that's going to be
and it's going to be a penalty kick, as Powell's feet just barely got tangled up with Grace going through, and now we're going to have a penalty kick.
And she's definitely going to be arguing that call of if it was just outside the box or just inside. Obviously, as a defender, you want to tell the ref that it's outside the box, but
yes, it's clearly inside the box when they got their feet tangled up. And it looked like Grace may have caused some of the contact, too, by trying to switch her position over towards the inside.
Yeah, and that's a tough play, but that's a smart play by the attacker.
Well, we have number 13 now trying to take the penalty kick.
Oh, and a great save.
Miller. Fabulous save by
Excellent
Miller.
Work, and she dabs on that. All right, there we go.
Miller shows her own little flair there.
That's a
after
great
punching
dive.
it out.
That's a great dive to the side, just reading where she's going to put it, and then she definitely signaled that she was going to put it to the keeper's left, her right, and Rachel Miller just made a great dive for it.
We'll see.
Results in a
corner kick for the Lions now, and again, a lot of pressure being put on the Knights defense. Knights have to make sure they clear the ball out here. Don't want to go down by 2 with about the 18-10 minute mark left to go.
And that's why that was such a big save, is because if you go down 2-0 there and take that into halftime, that's a whole different conversation than if you just go 1-0 with a big save.
Laura Hatchett tries to clear it out. Has another chance. Gets it out wide to Monson. Monson looks if she can look ahead and find Martin. Oh, and
Ooh.
Great step in there by number 25 or 26.
Ready for that.
Varick. Oh, if that ball could have got through on that, Martin could have been able to go down. We don't know what would have happened, but it would have been a great through ball to Martin.
That's still a long run from 48, 50 yards out, but
you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Someone could have stepped up in her way, but still just a great look ahead and a great defensive play by the Lions.
Mm-hmm. That's the smart play there, to step up as a defender, because you don't want to wait back and try to get him in a one-on-one.
Well, we know Martin has a lot of speed, and if she gets up ahead of speed, it's really tough for a defender to track her down.
Yeah, and that's definitely why they're staying tight on her, higher up the field, so that she can't turn and just beat him down the sideline.
Well, again, individual talent. And there's a through ball to see if Martin can chase it down. Oh,
good drop to the keeper.
Smart by Mackenzie Halliday. Felt the presence of Martin right behind her.
Yeah, and that's definitely a smart thing to do there.
Free kick now for the Knights. Hatchett will take it. And we've seen Hatchett take some goal kicks for the Knights also, not only this year, but last year also. Has a very strong leg.
I'm sure she was
Slade
hoping
with
to
it.
find someone there. Oh, and it just goes out of
Just
bounds.
out of bounds. And it seems like every time the Knights seem to get something going, something just steps up in the way to halt that momentum.
And it's unfortunate because I feel they haven't really tested the goalie at all for the Lions yet. And you really want to see them get up the field and at least test the goalie, see how, she's doing. And it appears that the goalie has a leg wrap on as well. And I don't want to speculate, but I mean, usually if that's happening, then there seems to be some sort of injury or something. So you really want to see him test her and, make her work for her saves.
Well, we had number 20, Lydia Adams, check in for Taylor Martin for the Knights. For the Lions, Elizabeth Klippinger comes in for Raquel Grice.
Another throw in for the Lions here.
No, and this is one of those games that anything can happen because no one really has had complete control so far in this first half. I mean, I know that the Lions are up 1-0, but they really haven't had complete control.
Yeah. Oh, and it looks like a good attacking chance. Great
Nice
save.
job by Rachel again. Hatchet, great job, and gets pushed out of bounds.
That'll result in a throw-in for the Lions, but I think they're going to check out. Looks like she hit her head on the ground there. And
Well, as she was kicking it, she got pushed.
yeah.
So both feet were off the ground and came down very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But another great save by Rachel Miller.
Definitely.
I mean, there's 2 times their balls headed out nicely, but needs to be cleared completely by the Knights. But there's 2 instances where the Knights could be down 3-0 now.
Mm-hmm.
The penalty kick and that great save that we saw Rachel make just on that last shot.
She's definitely come up big on the line, and that's exactly what you want to see from her.
Ball needs to be cleared out. Slade clears it.
That's what you want. You relieve a little bit of the pressure now. Now you can set up your back four and your mids and get a little settled. A great cut in there.
Palmer able to get in there. Again, another ball through. Slade's trying to chase it down. And a goal kick for the Knights. And just as I said, neither team really has had control. We see the Lions step up and take control.
Both teams have had some pretty good attacks, but it doesn't seem either team is that much over the other. So it's going to be a pretty competitive game here.
Well, anytime you get into your conference season, all games are going to be competitive. You can never really sit there and circle a date on your calendar and say, we're going to win that game no matter if we show up or not.
Mm-hmm. And these are the most important ones. So both teams, are definitely looking at these as the ones that they're putting their best players on the field for.
Yeah, both teams come in 0-1, looking for that first win. Both teams feeling like this could be their first win for the conference season. Had a substitution for the Knights. Kyra Tolbert comes in for Ann Powell.
This throw-in's just moving them up the sideline.
Yeah, it looks like they're just playing a ball position game. They're trying to get the ball closer to the goal.
Looks like someone might have a chance for some possession here.
Jewel may have gotten taken down from behind. I think they are going to call the foul.
I'll bring that back.
And even though the foul got called on the Lions and Cora went down, it looks like she didn't take the worst of that fall.
No, and she'll be all right. That's just, legs getting tangled up. And
Riley Anderson trying to go through the middle, taken away by the Lions.
But you can see in their attack here, they're bringing 4 players up in the middle and then leaving number 6 right in the middle, kind of about 10 yards back. Well, and that's going to be called for a foul. Bring that one back too.
Yeah, Riley Anderson drew the foul. Hatchett will take the free kick. Boots it downfield, but again, that doesn't do anything for the Knights if they lose possession.
Yeah, they got to find someone that they can pass to. And I don't know if that someone needs to get open downfield or if they just need to wait and set something up. Oh, and a great through ball there. Great through ball. Oh, but I'm sure that's not the shot she was wanting.
Yeah, great through ball to Adams. Adams felt some of the pressure, though, coming on to her and probably took the shot a little bit before she wanted to.
Yeah, she definitely did. She wants to take that at least another few yards, get maybe 15 out or maybe even 12, wait till the goalie makes a decision.
Well, you saw the defender reaching out and starting to tug on the shirt, too. You never know if you get pulled down. Now you have the penalty kick to try to even things up.
But that's what's so hard is you have to wait, and you got to kind of have those nerves to just know that, even if you get the foul, that's okay, because if it's in the box there, that's, just as good.
There we saw Jewel trying to connect with Palmer. And so we see the clock winding down, getting to the 10-minute and 30-second mark to go in this first half. Tabanasa tries to find Adams. Adams looks to center the ball, and it goes in off the goalkeeper. For a goal, Adams gets the goal to even the score up 1-1.
Now we've had an own goal by each team, so I guess that's just how this game's going to go.
I guess so. Great shot by Adams, went off the goalkeeper and trickled in.
That's just unfortunate. Yeah, it looked like when it came on the cross, the defender that was standing right there, you can see the Lions are comforting number 26. Haley Vavrick, and that's just another unfortunate ricochet of the ball. But it results in a goal for the Knights.
Well, also, it looked like on the backside that Monson was there. One of the first times we've seen the Knights have someone on the backside all by themselves. Monson's taken down, gets back up, tries to control the ball. Gets taken down again, and we're going to have a goal kick.
It looks like that momentum from that goal is paying off as they just come right back down the field.
Yeah, it looks like a totally different team after that goal.
And sometimes that can happen. If that's just the spark that you needed, then,
Well, and it also erases the thought of, we put the goal in on ourselves.
Exactly.
Now that heavy weight goes over to the Lions.
Even playing field now.
Well, again, and Adams, who just came into the match, paying off dividends.
Yeah, she's got to watch. There's a little bit of contact there with the defender, and she kind of.
Oh, and the referee's going to go talk to somebody. Have someone down on the side. And that looks like it's number 10, Kaylee Edwards, who's down. Calls for the trainer. So there we see Riley Anderson talking to her teammates. And Riley's taken a huge leadership role on the team this year.
She definitely has. As a former player coming back, that's what you want to see is everybody that understands the system and knows how to play. You want to see those players step up and, be the captains of the team and represent how everybody else is supposed to be playing.
Well, to recap some of the scoring, both goals deflections. Unofficially, we have those scoring lines for you at the 16:04 mark. Penn State Harrisburg scores by Kristen Stark. Actually went off of Ann Powell. And then at the 34:49 mark, Lydia Adams gets a goal, but again, unofficially stats say that it was off the goalkeeper and in. We'll just have to wait and see what happens there. And now they're pulling both teams off the field as they try to attend to the Penn State Harrisburg Lion that's down. And here she comes off the field.
And you never want to see that. That's so unfortunate.
Well, I think what may have happened was heads could have collided or an elbow to the head as we saw the header come out and get cleared there. And from that point, she went down. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we don't want to, make any speculation, but I'm sure that they'll take her over, run her through the concussion protocol as all the trainers have to do now anytime there's a suspected head injury.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the referee trying to call everybody back onto the field now. Great to see the Penn State Lion go off under her own power. Here we have a goal kick now for the Lions. And we'll have to see if this stoppage in play may have stopped the momentum that the Knights experienced right after that goal that they scored.
Yeah, they definitely want to get it back and take some of that into halftime, but we'll see how they play.
Rachel Miller out quickly.
Looks quickly for defenders, but looks like they want to play that downfield. You want to see him try to settle it down here. Both teams are. Ooh.
Adams goes down hard. Looks like she caught a knee right to her thigh. And that really hurts.
That's not a great injury to have, especially when you're running around for a few miles a game.
You can see her stretch that quad out a little bit. But after scoring a goal, that adrenaline's going through. You know she doesn't want to come out.
She definitely doesn't. She'll want to stay in the rest of the game, even if it hurts.
Knights lose the ball on the far sideline. Throw in for Penn State now.
And they've had quite a few of these throw-ins, but sometimes they just kind of let them creep up the field, and I don't feel like they're really taking too much advantage of some of them. That results in a loss of possession there. So
Tavanasa takes the ball away, plays the ball all the way across. There's Palmer. Palmer looks to center the ball, or shot on goal.
Oh.
And the goalkeeper didn't have to move. Still a great shot, but may have been wiser to wait for some of her teammates to come and fill in to the middle.
Even on that, though, that's what you want to see is, have them test the keeper, because you don't know, maybe they've got a weak side, or, putting the ball up high like that's where you go. But you want to see them test the keeper like that. So that even though that may not have been the best play, that's not a bad play. That's what you want to see.
Adams, Tavanasa ahead, and Palmer just can't catch up to it there. As it had a little bit too much pace on the ball.
It's another great attack down the sideline, though, and you can see that's what they're looking for. And, it worked for them on that last play, so maybe they'll try it again.
Yeah, if you have success with something, you keep on going back to it until adjustments are made.
Mm-hmm. She's in a good position to receive the ball there, and so if they can keep finding her on that sideline and giving her some space, they'll keep looking for it.
Well, and Palmer with the ball tries to play it through to Tavanasu. Can't make the connection. Long kick down the field this time. Knights trying to chase it down.
It's going to be close.
And a goal kick. Again, Palmer, another physical specimen, a 5'9" freshman from Highland, Utah, out of Lone Peak High School. And again, the attackers that the Knights have started to bring in really aren't your prototypical attackers. They're a little bit taller, a little bit more physical. You see some of these other teams and a little bit smaller, go with a lot of speed and finesse. But the Knights seem to have a lot of tough attackers.
They've definitely got some tough attackers on their team, and that's definitely represented in how they play, where they'll go in for some of the 50-50 balls a little harder, and the other teams know that. Oh, and a great run down the sideline.
Palmer
can't
keep it in.
Oh,
and I think they're going to call it out.
She was behind the defender there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Looks like they just went out of bounds.
Just another throw-in. This one handled a little bit better by the Lions if they can get that through.
Oh, it sneaks past Hatchett. It's going to be a one-on-one with Miller. Miller comes out, and the ball gets by.
And that's such a tough one, because you got to wait. As the goalie, you have to wait until you can get there. But then once you come out, you got to come out really strong. And it's a tough decision as a goalie. It looked like she could have come out a little bit stronger and maybe tried to make a play, but, she just timed that shot perfect. And so that's a tough decision for any goalie to try to make.
Well, and again, just a unfortunate bounce of the ball gets past Hatchett, and once the ball got past Hatchett, one-on-one with Miller in goal. Again, she probably made the best decision she could, faking and then finally coming out, but just a great play by the Penn State Harrisburg Lions.
Yeah, and when you give up that many throw-ins, they're going to capitalize on a couple, and it looks like they finally capitalized on one there.
That goal was by Kristen Stark of the Lions, number 13. Palmer with it. Played it over to Jewell.
Lost the ball there for a second,
And
but
Jewel
they're
comes back and gets it.
retained possession. And they're passing pretty well. You can see their spacing is really good. They're using most of the field and got some players open, but they just got to keep finding them.
Looks like the ball's going to go off a line for a throw-in by the Knights.
Let's see if they can capitalize on this one too.
Ball cleared out by the Lions and down the far sideline, but Tavanasa steps in, takes the ball away. Looks the ball over to Winterton. Winterton brings it back out to Jewel. Jewel back to Winterton.
Oh, great.
Oh,
play
great
there.
passing and a shot on goal wide to the left.
Great connections there, though, in the midfield, just waiting, and then having that shot. She could maybe get a little bit in, but that's not a bad attempt from there, about 20 yards.
Well, great patience by Adams there, just waiting, because one half of a step if she took it too early, offsides clearly. But great patience and then a great awareness of passing in the midfield, trying to find her.
And that's just a tough shot. Oh, and they just give the possession right back to the Knights there. See if they
Winterton
can make
plays the
something.
ball ahead. Adams tries to settle it down.
Be a jump ball there in the 50-50.
Palmer with it, plays it to the middle. Tavanasu off of a Lion.
This
Jewel.
is a great attacking sequence by the Knights. They just need to test the frame a little more. They're putting their shots just wide, but you really want to make that goalie work for it.
Again, anytime you can keep pressure on the defense, you hope that you're going to find the cracks. Again, great presence by the Knights now on their offensive end. Penn State's having a tough time clearing the ball.
Yeah, and even the goal kicks are only making it about to that 30-yard line there, so they're keeping it down. They just need to make the most of those opportunities when they finally get a shot.
Throw in for the Knights. Tolbert with it. Tries to play it ahead. Crossing shot. Monson with it. And can't keep it in bounds. Goal kick now for the Lions.
We got some substitutions here.
And number 4 for the Lions coming in. We don't have that number on our roster. We'll check it out in just a minute. We'll get official word for the subs. Brianna Mead comes in, number 4.
There you go.
Hatchett
A great
gets it.
drop.
Gets it back to Miller. Miller clears it out.
You can see they're still fighting for possession there. I mean, but both teams just kind of kicking it around for a little bit.
Well, all 3 goals so far today scored on minor mistakes by each team. The 2 that Penn State Harrisburg got, there's a kick ahead. Miller comes out to get it. One an own goal by the Knights. The other one just an unfortunate misplay of a bounce that got over Lauren Hatchett's head that went in for a goal.
It's definitely weird to see 2 own goals in a game, and in the first half of a game. That is not something you see in most games.
Well, it's been kind of a weird day of sports that we've had so far here in Southern Virginia. So, we're seeing a little bit of everything.
That's true. It's been a busy day for sports, but there's been some odd events. Oh.
Nobody on that backside. And again, if you have people running with the ball coming up on the far side or near side, if the ball's on the far side, if you have some support, sometimes those little bad bounces that the ball you can take advantage of.
And that kind of run isn't one that usually pays off, and so a lot of strikers don't really make it because it usually doesn't result in anything. But that's the one time where the defender misses it. Oh.
Adams almost had the step, but a great slide tackle there by number 15, Eliza Grimm.
You can see him still looking for that through ball there, just right between the center back and the right back.
Penn State clears it out. And it looks like we're going to go into halftime with the score 2-1 Penn State Harrisburg. We'll recap the scoring quickly. At the 16:04 mark, Penn State Harrisburg's Christian Stark gets credit for the goal, but it was an own goal that went in off of Ann Powell. At the 34:49 mark, Southern Virginia's Lydia Adams gets credit for the goal, going in off the goalkeeper. And then at the 39:36 mark, Penn State Harrisburg's Christian Stark gets a goal on a breakaway for the 2-1 lead. Well, going into halftime now, what is Coach Cox happy with and what is she concerned with?
They definitely need more possession. I mean, obviously having the ball to score, but they want to have more controlled possession, because even if you may have a benefit or kicking it around a little bit, they got to work it through the center more. You saw them keep it down there a little bit stronger at the end, but you really want to capitalize on those opportunities at the end, and I think that's what they'll focus on. And then just maybe, watching the spacing between the defenders, the back four, watch those splits, because that's definitely where Penn State Harrisburg's going for as far as attacking.
Well, at halftime, Penn State Harrisburg Lions lead the Southern Virginia Knights 2-1. We'll be back, start of the second half. Welcome back to the fields at Southern Virginia University, where the Knights trail the Penn State Harrisburg Lions 2-1. Looking at the stats for the first half: shots, Penn State Harrisburg 7, Southern Virginia 5. Corner kicks, Penn State Harrisburg with 1, Southern Virginia with 0. Saves, 5 saves by Rachel Miller. A lot of them some fantastic point-blank saves. Penn State Harrisburg with 1 save. Fouls, 5 on the Lions and 3 on the Knights. Sam, what stands out to you the most in that first half?
Aside from just the own goals themselves, the goalkeepers. I mean, Rachel Miller's definitely been keeping the Knights in it, basically. I mean, you save a PK, that's a huge boost, but also just a very impressive feat of athleticism. I mean, just to get to where they're putting the ball on the outside, because it wasn't a bad shot, but I mean, you don't want to have your goalie keep you in the game. So what you really want to see is the Knights now move the point of attack and use their strikers a little more.
Well, there's, in the last part of that first half, we saw the Knights really come to life with a lot of energy after they scored their first goal in the first half. Hopefully we can see that same type of energy now coming out into the second half.
It looks like they've made a couple different adjustments. I think Riley Anderson seems to have moved off the defensive line up into the midfield, looking for a little more attacking out of her.
I don't see Sierra Rich out there right now for the Knights. And it may just be a strategy or tactics that Coach Cox is trying to use, seeing if they can bring Sierra in a little bit later on in the game and have her really make a difference.
But the Lions coming out strong in the first 30 seconds again, just like in the first half. And, I mean, that's not what you want to see if you're the Knights.
Yeah, it took the Knights a little while to get going in that first half. Thought they may have come out a little bit stronger in this second half. And Powell with the throw-in now for the Knights. Tavanasu. Tavanasu with a header, looking to try to find one of her teammates. quick play down the field for the Lions. Powell's able to just kick it out, throw in now for the Lions. And again, a quick counterattack that we're seeing by the Lions that they really had some success on in the beginning of the first half.
And even with that ball bouncing around, it seems to benefit the Lions a little more as they're able to just, redirect it down line or find someone and keep it going. Or even they've definitely had their fair share of throw-ins in the first half, and that's continuing the trend in the second.
Well, it seems like they, like you said, in the first half, they just kind of walk it down the field with those throw-ins as the Knights play the ball out of bounds. Tavanasa tried to swing it across the field. Anderson now with it.
That was the pass she was originally looking for, but it ended up there.
Tried to sneak it through to Monson going down the middle of the field.
Looking for that split right between the defenders again. That's what both teams have been trying to find. You got to put that on the ground, though.
Ball played up and over. Back to Miller. Miller with a miss. And the ball squids off to the side on the near goal post. Corner kick for the Knights, and we have seen just about everything tonight.
What that play comes down to is you got to know which foot your goalkeeper is dominant with. And if she's right-footed, you play that on the ground nice and easy to her right foot. And I think that's what happened is she tried to play it to Rachel Miller's left foot, and she wasn't ready for that. And so she wasn't quite set for it.
Well, it looked like it also may have took a little bit of a bounce instead of a true roll. It looked like it took a little bit of bounce and caught Miller by surprise.
There we go. Now they're able to just get it out and kind of reset a little bit.
Ball headed out by Anderson.
You want to see him settle it here.
Oh, ball played through.
Split.
Miller able to come out.
It was a great split on that pass there, but another great play by Rachel Miller to come out and stop that.
Kristen Stark has one of the goals for the Lions in the first half, trying to get the second goal. Throwing now for the Knights. Tried to find Riley Anderson. Slade not able to connect with her off the foot of Tavanasu.
Now the Lions starting to settle down and get a few more passes together, but looks like we have an offsides there. She came back into an onside position, but then she was already off at the time of the pass.
And if she wouldn't have tried to play the ball but just give herself up, they would just let it play on.
You can let it go if you're not part of the play, but she came back for it.
Came back for it. A little bit of miscommunication there between Powell.
On a great cross in.
Off the head.
She
Martin with it.
Here.
Oh, and just curves off the line. And if she could have put that a little bit straighter, looked like it was headed for that top right corner.
She definitely was aiming for the top corner there, the upper 90. But, I mean, I think she's all right to just make it a little easier on herself and just kind of put that in. She doesn't have to necessarily get the flair or the finesse on it, but just nice and easy.
Well, Martin was able to chest that ball down and get a shot off. Again, now the Knights have to start feeling better about themselves, having that attack, knowing that they can get some attacks against this Lions defense.
Definitely. They know that they can score. I mean, they already have, but they know that they can get a better attacking chance.
It's like McFadden came in trying to chase the ball down, and it's going to go out for a corner kick.
For a goal kick on that one.
Sorry, goal kick. Thank you for correcting me there.
And it seems most of these goal kicks, they're landing about the 30, and it seems that they're not really using it too much to keep the possession. It just seems they're kind of putting it up and hoping they come back down with it.
And the Knights not taking advantage of that short kick either. Just playing it off their foot, trying to play it back in towards the goal instead of trying to possess it.
Yeah, if I was Coach Cox, that would be something I'd addressed at halftime is the consistency of the goal kicks and how they can take advantage of those for sure.
Martin chests the ball down.
Good
plays it ahead
there.
towards Monson. Play on for.
The ref's not going to call that one. If they're even with each other and the ref determines that that's a shoulder-to-shoulder play, then they can keep playing on that, and that's what he determined, even if you dramatize the fall at all.
Well, it looked like it also may have been, like we saw earlier in the first half, a couple of shots that looked really hard, but the one player was off balance or had both feet off the ground, and so any kind of tap would knock somebody down.
And that's what's hard to tell, from here. And the ref's obviously got a different perspective, and so sometimes he can let those go. But
that's why he's paid to be out there, right?
Yeah.
Another long ball down the field.
Oh, and the goalie. Oh, and that's really close.
Yeah.
Luckily, the goalie, I think, was already off of her line pretty far, and so she was able to come out for that. But that was really close.
Another step, and it looked like Monson may have had a play on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
When we've seen these long through balls become progressively closer to their target.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see that if the Knights continue to do that, see it become even more close to where they can make a play on the ball.
The Lions have their own through ball now.
Yep. Stark with it. And a corner kick for the Lions. Well, and here's another chance for the Lions to attack. The Knights are going to have to do a tremendous job to clear the ball out.
Mm-hmm.
And Miller's made some fantastic saves, but you don't want her to use all her fantastic saves up in this one game.
Could cross in, and it falls.
Ball on the ground. Miller is able to do a split and get down on it.
And that's a danger. Anytime the ball hits the ground off of a corner, that is what no coach wants to see if you're playing defense, because any ricochet could just accidentally end up in the back of the net there. It's so hard to tell where it's going to be.
Knights lose control. Tolbert with it. Plays it ahead. Nice one-touch passing. Martin looks ahead. Oh, and the ball just slides through. Slade's not able to contain the ball, but again, some great passing that we're seeing by the Knights, some one-touch passing, just not able to finish it off.
Yeah, and that's a great string of passes because they're working that triangle on the sideline, which is exactly what they want to do, because you can't defend against that. If you got that triangle on the side and then they run it up with the next player, that's the hardest thing to cover.
Another long ball played down by the Lions. Powell's there, able to force a goal kick now. If he joined us late, Knights jumped out or fell behind the Lions 1-0, able to tie it up, and then right before halftime, the Lions able to go ahead for the 2-1 lead. McFadden knocked off the ball, out of bounds for the Lions. Miller comes out.
And that's good communication there with her center back, where she turns and covers the ball and lets the goalie know that that's her ball.
And we're down at the end where Rachel Miller is, and we can really hear her talking to her defenders now. Martin. Nice job by Martin.
Some good physical play there to try to get that ball down line.
Anderson with the ball now. Nice maintain possession over to Winterton. Winterton tries to play the ball ahead to McFadden.
It's a great centering pass, and then trying to find that outlet there so you can get the cross back in.
Cleared out momentarily by the Lions. Powell sends it into the middle of the field. Tamanasa tries to settle it down. Ball on the ground.
Ooh. Some great ricochets.
Slade with it now. Tries to play it through off her foot. Monson with it. Monson off the goalkeeper. Martin had it momentarily.
That's a great ricochet there, and Monson's just in the right position to receive that. But the goalie just came out and took up enough of the goal that she can get a foot on it.
And it looked like Monson tried to shoot that with her left foot also. And all this action, and it's got to be frustrating to have all this action and have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, it still gets you a little bit of momentum, but it's not the same as getting that tying goal.
We saw Monson with a shot at it We saw Martin settle one down and almost have enough time to put a shot on, and now here comes that goal kick again by the goalie, and see if she does only put it out about 25 or 30 yards, and if the Knights can settle it in.
Again, it's hard to control those sometimes, but you still want to at least be able to, get the first touch on it.
And Powell, nice job of trying to get it over to McFadden. Powell there on the sideline. Plays it over to McFadden. McFadden towards the middle. Looks like a little miscommunication of Tavanasa. Anderson there to clean it up. Plays it over to Slade. Slade's looking like she wants to take it down. Martin fills in behind her. Plays it ahead. And cleared out nicely by the Lions.
They're using the sidelines well, though. The Knights are definitely trying to work the ball all the way across and then coming back down the sideline.
Tolbert tried to settle the ball down. Kaylee Edwards comes in for the Lions. Nice to see her coming back into the game. And Lydia Adams now checks in for the Knights. Adams credited for the score for the Knights in the first half. Quick start by the Lions, plays it ahead, tried to catch the Knights unaware. Knights are able to recover.
Tavanasa. Start a good counter here if they can find that pass.
Oh, just not enough pace as they're trying to go all the way across the field to Anderson.
It's great vision, though, to see her there.
Tavanasa with the ball in the middle of the field. Loses her balance. We'll see who the AR calls this off of. And a throw-in for the Lions. And again, we've seen a lot of misconnections. Most of the time it's been by trying to play the ball ahead too fast. That time a little bit too much finesse on it.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely. It's good that they're seeing those connections, though, and they're able to get the ball pretty close to where they need it. That's what you want to see, because the connection will come with time, and they'll just, a little bit of practice.
Here's another goal kick. We'll see if the Knights can control this goal kick. They know just about where the ball is going to go.
It's been pretty consistent, and I think they can just set up there.
Like you said, sometimes controlling the ball after it comes off your head or part of your body, a little bit tougher than what we think it is. Throw in for the Lions, and here we go, see them progressively work the ball down the field via a throw-in.
Mm-hmm.
Powell clears it towards the middle of the field. Slade tries to play the ball way ahead. Martin unable to chase the ball down. Throw in again for the Lions. Long throw in down the sideline. Tolbert to Anderson. Anderson going down the near sideline.
They've definitely given her space. If she can find a cross, no.
Nice slide tackle by number 3, Raquel Grace. Throw in now. Anderson will take it herself.
And she's got a pretty long throw, too, which is pretty beneficial.
Ball kicked out. Throw in now for the Lions.
A good header there. And the ref getting in on the action there.
Yeah, but the referee is part of the field of play, so
he is part of the field.
If it bounces off of him, you just have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Miss on the swing there. Adams not able to settle it down.
I think she was so excited that just got through that she just touched it forward, hoping she could keep it, but didn't realize how hard she had hit it.
Anderson with it now. Tries to play it through.
Oh,
There's Martin. Oh, and great job by the goalkeeper, number 17, Kayla Arnold. Again, one more step, and Martin had it on her feet.
Yeah, that's just it. They've had so many of those super close calls, but the goalie did the smart thing there and just cleared it out.
Well, and no hesitation by Arnold on that point, because if she would have hesitated, that ball could have skipped past her. Ball goes and cleared out nicely as we thought the ball might skip in again.
That was really close to it, too, and a great cross in there.
Well, the Knights are having multiple chances now over these last 5 minutes. Winterton with a shot goes wide to the left.
And they just continue to keep it down in that third, and that's what you want. You have a cross and almost a ricochet in. You have a shot. You have all these chances, and that's exactly what you want to see from the Knights.
Well, there we see number 16, Adri Palmer, checking in for the Knights now. And again, goal kick.
Again, the Knights get the first touch on it there, and hopefully they can get the possession here.
Foul going to be called on Slade. Miller brings it into the box to play it up into her hands. So we're nearing the 27.5-minute mark to go in the game, and the Knights trail the Penn State Harrisburg Lions 2-1. Ball crossed through. Slade's there. Looks to clear it out.
I think they were thinking their right mid had made it all the way up there, but she just hadn't yet.
Anderson with it. Knights looking for a counterattack. Tavanasa cleans it up.
And they've got a great ball in there.
Long ball down to McFadden.
They've got someone in the center. Takes a
McFadden
shot.
with the shot and in. Oh, it's off the side. I thought it went in. Emily McFadden with a great run down the far sideline. Great vision by Tavanasa to see her.
That was wonderful. That was only a few passes, and they made it all the way up the field and had a great shot. I mean, that's exactly what you want.
Well, you have to wonder now, are the Penn State Harrisburg Lions starting to wear down a little bit, because we're starting to see a lot more runs by the Knights and the defense for the Lions not being able to get back.
Yeah, and I think the Knights made their substitution there. They sub on, a couple new players, and maybe they get some more energy so they can make those runs. It's showing.
Anderson flicks the ball ahead.
And I think that's another sign right there. If your defense is just starting to clear the ball out more rather than just trying to possess it, sometimes that can be because of pressure, but also because of fatigue. And I think that's probably what that is there, is the defense feels that pressure because they recognize they're a little more tired, and so they just start clearing it more instead of possessing it out of the back.
Adams, and she got taken down.
That's definitely,
I think,
yeah.
And it's going to have to be a yellow card. As he reached out and grabbed around, that'll be number 6, Mackenzie Halliday with the yellow card.
And that's a smart play if you're a defender, but it's not what you want to see if you're an attacker, obviously. And because that can result in a goal-scoring opportunity, that's a cardable offense. But it's a smart play if you're a defender, because it's better than giving up a one-on-one.
Well, yeah, if Adams would have got past Halliday there, it would have been a one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm. And even if you're 30, 35 yards out, that's not something you want to give up.
Well, we've seen Adams being able to run past defenders before, so you get past that last defender, there's not a lot of people that want to catch up to her from behind.
And as those center backs will recognize that speed too, having played the last 70 minutes with her.
Oh, a through ball.
And there
Rachel Miller comes way out of her box.
Which is exactly what you want there.
Palmer switches the field over. Giroux with it. Plays it ahead to Anderson. Anderson loses control. There's another long pass through the middle. And going to be offsides.
Which I think Rachel Miller saw, and that's why she didn't come out on that one.
Yeah, you saw her have her hand up. She knew that the call was going to be made, as Grace was at least 2 steps offside.
Mm-hmm.
Lily Winterton going to take the free kick now for the Knights. Anderson vying for the ball. Oh, they're going to get Anderson on the foul there. Ball goes over to Penn State. And strategy-wise now, do we just keep on trying to attack and put a lot of pressure on, or is there some new tactics that the Knights need to try in order to tie this game up?
I think right now they'll still keep it the way that they have it. They've still got 24 minutes, and they've had plenty of scoring chances. They've gotten very, very close on these chances, and so I don't think they'll be shifting anybody up yet. But once you get down into 15, 10 minutes, definitely 10, you might pull up one of your defenders, put on a more attacking player, a midfielder or a striker. But I think for now they've had their scoring opportunities. They just need to capitalize, and so I don't think they're willing to. They want to shift anything just yet.
Throw in now for the Knights. And Powell will take it. Gets it ahead to Winterton. Throw in for the Knights. Knights taking a page out of the Lions book there.
It worked for them.
Working it down the field and loses control there. Over to the Lions now. Powell misplayed it.
Just over her head there.
In an artificial turf, you think you're going to get a really true bounce, but there are sometimes that those pellets mound up a little bit, and you get a kind of a funny bounce, just like you would on a regular surface.
Mm-hmm. They can pile up, and it affects the speed of the ball a lot. Sometimes I think that's why some of the passes have gone a little bit faster or farther than they originally intended, because it travels so fast on the ground.
The rain has no effect on the turf. Once it starts to dry out, it's the carpet of the turf will be dry and won't affect the ball just like a natural surface will.
Well, it's been a good game by the Knights so far. I think we're going to switch the commentating back over and see how the second half plays out.
Thank you very much, Sam. We'll have a throw-in now by the Lions. And before that, we'll have some subs. For the Knights, look like number 8, Cora Jewell, and number 11, Lauren Hatchett, come in. Look to make the push in this last 22 minutes of the second half.
And Mike, it's getting to be kind of like the first game we had just a few hours ago, the men's game. They lost 2-1, and we started to talk in the second half of that game when it would be desperation time for the Knights to try to get that equalizing goal.
Well, if the Knights can continue to attack and put a lot of pressure on the goalkeeper, as they have in the last 5 to 7 minutes, they don't need to change any tactics. Just need, like Sam said, take advantage of those opportunities instead of missing the goals that present themselves.
Because it doesn't appear that Penn State Harrisburg is really looking to get a third goal. They're just looking to circle the wagons and keep this lead.
Yeah, they've really slowed down their attack some, looking to possess the ball a little bit more and take some time off the clock. Victoria Slade now with the throw-in. Overthrows Tavanasa. And we're going to have the ball went out of bounds for a throw-in now for the Lions. Checking in for the Lions will be number 3, Raquel Grace, and number 11, Courtney Hall.
And I would imagine the Lions will try to maybe, if possible, substitute as much as they can in the final 20 minutes, take a few seconds off the clock every time, Mike, and try to keep some fresh players out there.
Yeah, we saw that looked like the Lions defense starting to get a little bit tired on some of the runs that the Knights were making. Going to be a foul on Cora Jewell. So the Lions will retain. So, again, subbing has a twofold effect. One, you get the fresh legs on there, but also you run off a few extra seconds that you don't have to defend.
Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're trailing by 1, especially when you get into the 10-minute mark, those seconds could really be crucial.
Well, and they add up throughout the game. If you make about 5 or 6 subs throughout the game and you can knock off 10 to 20 seconds with each sub, it does make a huge difference. Ball going down the far sideline.
Goalkeeper
comes out. McFadden,
another one of those missed
couldn't take advantage of it as Aaron Culp gets back on defense, and the goalkeeper, Kayla Arnold, was out in no man's land.
Didn't seem like she was going to be able to get out there in time, and that was one of those missed opportunities.
Slade with a shot from about 29 yards out. Arnold is able to make a easy save on that, but that last play, McFadden going down the sideline. Arnold gets out in no man's land, but is saved by her teammate, Aaron Culp.
And we've seen 3 or 4 of those kind of occurrences here in the second half, Mike, and you get there wondering, okay, is one of these going to break through in the next couple of minutes, or the Knights actually running out of chances like that?
And you got to hope that one of them's going to break through, because these chances just are presenting themselves for the Knights, and it's frustrating for us as commentators to see them not take advantage of it. I'm sure it's frustrating for them as players. Tavanasa with the ball. Tries to play it through. Powell lays back for the ball.
One thing's for sure, it doesn't appear that Penn State Harrisburg has any aspirations to take it down the otother way on a sustained offensive attack.
Well, they're just trying to clear the ball out to make sure that nothing gets through, and the Knights have a goal-scoring chance. Palmer can't control the ball. Tavanasa with a great effort to get back. Great effort by Tavanasa there. It goes off of her out of bounds for a throw-in, but again, just we're seeing the heart and desire of these young ladies out there playing.
No doubt. Knights have never given up, just like the men in the first game who lost 2-1.
McFadden trying to keep the ball. Oh, and there's just a miss hit there as Hatchett played it behind Powell. Powell was trying to switch from her defensive position to an attacking position. And now we're seeing a lot of subs coming in for the Penn State Harrisburg. It seems like they've had about 6 subs the last few minutes. Checking in for the Knights also will be number 22, Taylor Martin, coming back in. Looking to get back onto the field and add some of her speed on the attack for the Knights. Martin going up for the ball. Oh, and they're going to call Martin on a foul on that.
Yeah.
You know, and we talked in the first game with the men. All you can ask as players and coaches is for consistency out of the referees. And you know, we've seen a lot of hard fouls that haven't been called, and now we're seeing some touch fouls that are being called. And you just got to, as a player, get frustrated at that.
Well, especially when you're down by 1 and the clock is evaporating.
Oh, a long play ahead. Going to be called offside. Looks like that's number 3 for the Penn State Harrisburg Lions. Raquel Grace knew she was offside, gave herself up. Victoria Slade pops the ball up. And the Knights need to find some possession time as Laura Hatchett tries to come in to settle the ball down. Giroux plays it ahead to Martin. Martin chests the ball down. Plays it to Powell. Powell plays it ahead of Martin. Harrisburg just content to kick it out of bounds. Throw in for the Knights now. Tavanasa with the ball. Played ahead. Looks like Adams tries to center it. As Palmer was coming in, just not enough pace on the ball, and we need a center attacker coming along with him instead of just out on the far sidelines.
Yeah. That's where you mentioned, like in the men's game, I guess, Mike, in the first game, just need maybe the advantages, the number advantages, maybe having 3 or 4 folks down there instead of just 2.
And with the Knights behind now, we're under 15 minutes to go. They've got to start throwing more people towards the goal on these runs.
You run the risk, I guess, even though Penn State Harrisburg really hasn't looked to really go on the offensive end of things. You run the risk of obviously giving up that 3rd goal, which would be at this stage obviously a killer, but you really have to focus more on the offense and really go after that equalizing goal.
Tawanasa trying to control the ball. Over to Palmer. Palmer with a little bit of a misplay, able to keep it in bounds. Plays it ahead to Slade. Slade looks to center the ball and going to be cleared out by the Lions. Martin tried to take the ball away right in the middle of the field, and one more step, and Martin again may have had another chance at goal, and there's just so many chances that the Knights are having here.
So Monson's going to check back in here for the Knights. Coaches would love to see her get a chance to maybe get that equalizing goal. Clock obviously becoming a huge factor now.
Looks like Monson checked in for Adams. Again, the Lions just content to clear the ball out and not let the Knights build up any type of offensive pressure.
And that strategy is, I doubt, going to change in the final 13 minutes. In fact, they'll just keep on applying the same kind of strategy, Mike, to keep Southern Virginia's offense at bay.
Laura Hatchett trying to chase the ball down. Cora Jewell with it. Plays it over to Monson. Monson plays the ball over to the middle to Jewell. She has Palmer going down the left sideline. Palmer with a shot. Just couldn't get any pace on it with her left foot.
Did not really get much on that shot. And by the time she actually shot it, Mike, there are a couple of defenders got in the way.
Yeah, it looks like if Cora could have seen her just a little bit sooner. Tawanasa with a shot.
It was from a great distance, but it had a couple of hops, and you never know about a bad hop maybe.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Knights, again, looking up at the clock, seeing that clock tick down, that causes you to rush a few things.
But then again, I think you guys have been pointing this out repeatedly throughout the evening, Mike. You just really want to put it on goal. Anything can happen if you get it on goal.
You got to get it on goal, and got to get it on goal with some pace. Lions with the ball. They look to play it back. Nice step in by Martin. Tawanasa over tries to find Martin, taken away nicely by the Lions' number 99, Danielle Bessler. Long kick down the field. Rachel Miller's there. Tawanasa chests the ball down.
These would really be a couple of tough 2-1 losses. Men in the first game and the women losing here, Mike, 2-1 in games that they looked very good at times. Men led their game 1-0 at halftime, lost 2-1. The women here had a chance to had the game tied at 1, and then Penn State got that second goal, and neither team's been able to score here in the second half.
Yeah, both teams probably be, if the Knights go ahead and lose this, I know the men are going to be disappointed for a little while, but, you know, you have to go and say we have another game to play, guys. We got to focus on it. Let's learn from what happened here. Same thing with the ladies. If they happen to lose this game, they'll have to sit there and say, okay, we can be sad for this amount of time, but we have to prepare for the next game. Same thing if they win. They can only be happy for so long.
Especially with the amount of talent that's in the Capital Conference, really, for both men and women's soccer.
Yeah, there's no downtime. You can't get too high or too low in this conference. Palmer with the ball down the far near sideline. Tries to play it back. Slade steps up to the ball. Centers it to Jewell. Ball goes in. Tawanasa. Ball still bouncing around and kicked out nicely by the Lions. Powell there to throw it back into the middle.
Another one of those missed opportunities.
Oh, and the ball just bouncing there in the middle of the box.
And the goalkeeper out of position. Here comes Riley Anderson back in.
No, we're down under 10 minutes to go. I don't know if the Knights will make any more subs. I'm pretty sure, though, that Penn State Harrisburg will try to sub every chance they get to run those few extra seconds off the clock, which, you know, is great tactics if you're ahead.
A little frustrating for the team behind, but perfectly legal.
Powell pops the ball up. Knights aren't able to control it. Slade chasing the ball back as Stark tries to come up. And it's going to be off of Stark, out of bounds. Throw in for the Knights. Slade will take it. Plays it across to Hatchett. Hatchett all the way across to Powell. Powell plays it ahead. Tries to find Monson. Kicked out of bounds by the Lions. Throw in now for the Knights. Knights trying to throw it with a quick start. Monson lays it off. Ball in the middle, Hatchett with it, and going to be called off sides. Looks like that might have been Riley Anderson with the throw in. And Hatchett just got caught offsides on that little deflection that we saw in there in the middle.
Well, the Penn State Harrisburg goalkeeper Arnold has really had an adventurous second half. Probably a few scares on her end, but she has maintained the shutout here in the second half somehow.
Yeah, both goalkeepers with shutouts in the second half. Really has settled down, but both teams have had opportunities, just haven't been able to take advantage of them.
And to a certain degree, Mike, I guess we've really only had one true goal here in this entire game.
Yeah, although statistically the goals go to the person who shot the ball. Both goals in the first half, the first goal by each team was really an own goal. Ball headed back. Powell trying to chase it down. Plays it back to Miller. Miller tries to get the ball out. Taken away by the Lions.
Well, suddenly the Lions have some numbers here.
Stark plays it through. Miller has to come out and misses the ball on her slide. Goal for Penn State Harrisburg.
Still 7 minutes to go, Mike, but that might have been the dagger.
And that's Raquel Grace with the score.
It did not appear up until that last minute or so that the Lions were even looking to go on the offensive, and suddenly they got the numbers down there.
Well, that ball came into Stark. Stark found Grace wide open, made one move. Miller tried to come out on a slide, took a wrong angle, looked like she slid right by the ball, and Grace puts it in. Penn State Harrisburg now ahead 3-1.
And Grace was very patient in her attack, not risking a desperation shot, really taking her time. And that was a deflating goal, I'm sure, Mike. Now you're down by 2, and you're almost under 7 minutes to go now.
Yeah, now you really start to panic. Even though your coaches are over on the side saying, it's okay, calm down, we can score and score quickly, sometimes you start thinking and doing things as an athlete that is really out of the realm of what you want to do.
This would be a big win for the Penn State Harrisburg Lions. They came in just 3-7 on the season overall. Just can't imagine the countless number of opportunities the Knights, sometimes very good opportunities and sometimes just maybe a step or a second away from having a chance to get that second goal.
And they've had, like you said, countless. It's just being able to take advantage of those opportunities that they haven't been able to make that last connection or that last shot on goal with any type of pace. Slade. Ball goes out of bounds off the Lions. Throw in for Slade now. Ball centered over. Chavanazes loses control.
Lions just looking to clear right now, Mike.
Yeah, they're packing just about everybody back in, trying to not let the Knights get a numbers game on them. Ball centered in. Oh, and they're just bounced right over the top of Riley Anderson.
Even the bounces are going Penn State Harrisburg's way.
sometimes when it rains, it pours, and it seems like the Knights just are on the wrong end of all the good fortune bounces. Hatchet. Ball plays ahead to Stark. Ball's going to go out of bounds. And it's going to be a throw-in for the Knights.
Even points of the game like this, Mike, is where you're going to see maybe 10, 15 seconds run off.
And if you're Knights, you can't afford for those seconds to run off without some type of action. Throw in now for the Lions. Slade with it. Neither team can really possess the ball right now. Throw in.
Fighting for it.
And it's going to be a throw in for the Lions. Now we're under 4 minutes to go. 2-goal lead by the Penn State Harrisburg Lions. Subs coming in for the Lions now. Martin trying to outrace the Lions down the field. Ball gets taken away.
A Penn State defender had the inside position and used it.
Martin just a step behind her. Lions look to control and contain. Sub now coming in. Emily McFadden will be coming in.
Clock continues to run. The Knights are going to need 2 goals in 3 minutes here in just a few seconds.
McFadden came in for Powell, and now we're going to start seeing some extra attackers up front for the Knights. Throw in for the Knights. Slade with it.
Monson takes a tumble.
Going to have a foul called. Martin looking for the ball. Extra ball on the field now. Free kick. 2-man wall. About 20 yards from goal. Third person comes up, joining the wall. Martin lifted it towards the near corner. Just curved it too much, falls harmlessly to the left of the goal. And on these goal kicks, you're going to start seeing Harrisburg Lions really take some time.
And now the Knights need to score 2 goals here, Mike, in just 2 minutes to tie this game.
Well, again, I don't think you're going to see the Knights quit. They're going to keep playing until the final horn blows. But, again, just too many opportunities that the Knights couldn't take advantage of throughout this second half. Ball booted out of bounds by the Knights. Throw in for the Lions.
So Penn State Harrisburg coming here, Mike, and getting a couple of big victories as the lights go out.
Lights
here
go
at
out.
Knight Sports Arena.
And that's going to take a while for the lights to come back on if they can start it up. We'll have a minute 31 left to go in the second half. I don't know what the referees are going to do about this.
Just out of nowhere that happened.
Well, again, to start the lights back up after.
They just announced a potential 15-minute delay.
To play the last 1 minute and 31 seconds.
So we'll break away here for just a little while. Keep you abreast of how things are going. Looks like we're going to be delayed finishing this game for just a few minutes. So stay with us. It's 3-1, Penn State Harrisburg. Bresnahan back here with Mike Harmon and Sam Holman again here at the fields at Southern Virginia University. Had the lights go out, Mike. They are back on, and we're just actually about a minute or so away from getting this final 91 seconds underway.
Well, we've seen a little bit of everything in this women's game tonight. Own goals, lights going out. Hopefully that we can get through this last 91 seconds with no other incidents happening.
Okay, got to ask the question probably that everybody's on everybody's mind. Does this give one team or another or none of them, I guess, any extra advantage? Penn State Harrisburg just wants to hang on to this 2-goal lead, and, of course, the Knights would like to find a way to score 2 miracle goals in 91 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think there's any advantage or disadvantage to anybody right now. If we had to pick an advantage, it'd go over to Penn State Harrisburg. They got to rest a little bit. The defenders are
maybe talk
got
over
some
defensive strategies if they needed to.
Of let's just kick the ball out as far as we can. The Knights also talked over some offensive strategies, I'm sure. Let's kick the ball as far as we can down towards the goal and put anything that we can on the face of the goal. So there we are with a throw-in now for the Lions. Kicked out of bounds by Giroux. And you can expect the Lions to slow it down on some of these throw-ins.
Yeah, they're in no hurry.
Stark with it. Rachel Miller's able to take the ball. Tries to roll it out towards Tavanessa. Anderson with it. Plays it all the way across the field. Ball back to the middle of the field. Knights looking to build. Riley Anderson loses the ball, and there's the strategy that we thought the Lions would employ, just kicking the ball out, clearing it as far as they can, causing the Knights to burn off a few seconds on the throw-in. Throw-in now for the Knights. Ball played out nicely by the Knights, but we're under 23 seconds to go in the game. Anderson tries to get the ball out quickly. Throw in for the Lions. And that's the game. We saw a little bit of everything go on. Both teams can write this down in the record books of some strange things happening, Jim.
And Mike Harrisburg improves to 1-1 in the Capital Conference. Knights now 0-2 in the conference, and they're 3-6 overall. So both the men and the women thought they had a great chance at a victory. First Capital Conference victory of the season today. And the men lose 2-1, and the women lose to Penn State Harrisburg, Mike, 3-1.
Well, both teams did have great opportunities to win the game. There was a lot of opportunities that presented themselves. Neither of the Knights teams were able to take advantage of those opportunities that presented themselves, and that's something that they have to work on is finishing off opportunities that other teams seem to be giving the Knights throughout the game.
Yeah, because in the second half especially, Southern Virginia had lots of opportunity, and in some cases maybe just a step or a second away from opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot of misplays that went on. Some great shots that the Knights were able to take, just not at the right angle. We saw some go right at the goalkeeper. So some finishing that the Knights need to take care of, and if they do, we can see them start to win some of these conference games, get into that top 6, both teams, and go on to conference tournament play.
Yeah, both men and women are 0-2 in the conference now, Mike, but still a long way to go in the conference schedule.
Well, I think last year 3 or 4 wins got you into the conference tournament. So, again, you start out 0-2. It's not the end of the season. Mathematically, you're still in it and have great chances to get in that top 6. Again, just a few little things that the Knights need to clean up, both the men and the women, and we can see some different results.
So that's going to wrap things up here from the fields at Southern Virginia University. I'm Jim Bresnahan. To recap once again, football, Wesley over Southern Virginia 63-9. Men's soccer, it was Penn State Harrisburg beating Southern Virginia earlier today 2-1. And in the women's soccer matchup, Penn State Harrisburg wins it 3-1 over Southern Virginia. For Mike and Josh and Sam and our entire production crew, thanks again for joining us today for Southern Virginia University Athletics.